Today is all about the different ragdoll colors. If you've watched our channel before, you probably already know my two cats, Sir George and Lady Eleanor. I've talked about their color and pattern in the past, but they only represent a very small percentage of the over 60 different pattern and color combinations of traditional ragdoll cats. So with the help of some ragdoll volunteers from all over the world, we're getting into every color, the standard colors of seal, chocolate, flame, and their dilute counterparts, blue, lilac, and cream. And we're even getting into the non-standard rare colors that can be a little controversial: cinnamon, fawn, blue-eyed whites. I'll be going in order from most common to rarest, which means the seals are up first. Seal is described as a rich dark brown, similar to the color of a seal's fur. Because ragdolls genetically are a pointed breed, this color will be its deepest on the cat's extremities, like their face, ears, tail, and paws, depending on the pattern. One thing you'll notice here and throughout all the examples in this video is that a ragdoll's color presentation deepens as they age. So 3-year-old Hank, for example, isn't as dark as fully matured 8-year-old Oscar Chandler. Aside from being absolutely stunning, one of the reasons seal ragdolls are so popular is due to genetics. If you remember those Punnett squares you did back in science class, you may remember hearing about dominant and recessive traits. I'm oversimplifying it here, but seal is a dominant trait, meaning only one parent needs to pass down the genetic code for the kitten to be this dark brown color. There are higher odds that a ragdoll will be seal than other colors. Blue is another common and very popular color among ragdolls. Blue just means a deep gray, and is actually a color you'll see in many other breeds of cats and dogs. Genetically, blue is a dilute or a lightened version of the seal color we just saw. For most ragdolls, there are two genes responsible for their color. One of these genes is known as the dilute trait. In this case, both parents need to pass down a copy of the dilute trait in order for this gray color to appear. If only one parent passes it down instead of two, you end up with a seal ragdoll cat like we've already seen. Just like every other color in this video, blue comes in all sorts of patterns and variations. These patterns determine how much white is seen on the cat, or if they have tabby stripes, also called the lynx variation, like you saw on the first two blue ragdolls, Lady Eleanor and Maya. Chocolate is a less commonly seen ragdoll color. Chocolate is described by most cat fancy registries as a milk chocolate color, which, to be honest, is not all that helpful in my opinion when it comes to telling apart the brown of a seal ragdoll and the brown of a chocolate ragdoll. One big difference between these two browns is that the chocolate will have a warmer tone than the seal, which is a cool, dark color. You'll see in our most senior cat of this video, Smokey, the 20-year-old chocolate ragdoll cat, his tail and paws, despite being a deep brown, have a warm tone to them. Going back to the dominant and recessive traits I talked about earlier, chocolate is recessive to seal, which means both parents need to pass down copies of this chocolate trait in order for their kitten to turn out a chocolate color. Lilac is one of the rarest standard colors of ragdoll cats. Lilac can be described as a frosty gray or a light gray with a pinkish tinge. Although one might think it's the lightened version of blue, genetically it's actually the lightened or dilute version of chocolate. This helps explain why the gray color can have a warm tone to it. It can be challenging to tell apart lilac and blue ragdolls, especially when they're young. Even for people with plenty of experience with the breed, sometimes the only way to tell apart young lilacs from young blues or young chocolates from young seals is through genetic testing. I actually did genetic testing with my cat Eleanor, who was thought to be lilac at one point, because I was impatient, and also because I was curious about her oral health, which is something some of these at-home DNA kits can test for. I used Basepaws, but there are other companies like Wisdom Panel that also create excellent reports if you're looking for more genetic information about your cat. I'll link them in the description below. The reason lilac is one of the rarest of these colors is because it's recessive genetically and both parents need to pass down copies of the chocolate trait and the dilute trait, so there's a lower genetic probability of a lilac outcome. Flame ragdolls, also called red ragdolls, are this breed's orange cat. Their coloring is described as shades ranging from bright apricot to deep red. Like other orange cats, flame ragdolls can have little freckles on their nose, lips, eyelids, and ears. Genetically, flame ragdolls and orange cats in general are really unique because their color is tied to the X chromosome, meaning it's linked to gender. It's much more common to see male orange cats than females. Another interesting fact is that most orange cats, including ragdolls, will display tabby stripes of some form due to the way orange pigment is distributed throughout the fur. Cream ragdolls are the dilute version of flame. So just like blue is the dilute of seal and lilac is the dilute of chocolate, if both parents pass down the dilute trait to their orange kitten, it will be cream instead of flame. Cream is described by cat registries as a pale buff cream to a light pinkish cream. Like the other colors, it can be really challenging to differentiate a cream ragdoll from a flame ragdoll, especially during the first 4 years while their color matures. Again, sometimes the only way to know is through genetic testing or tracing the genotypes of the parents. A little bonus for you all, but sometimes this flame and cream coloring can get mixed into the traditional seal, blue, chocolate, and lilac colors, which results in something we call a Tortie ragdoll. Tortie is short for tortoiseshell and is what we call ragdolls that are mottled with flame or cream. In other breeds, you may call them a calico if white is interspersed throughout the coat, but for ragdolls, we call it Tortie across the board. If they have tabby stripes, we call them Torbie. Tortie isn't a color exactly, which is why I'm calling this a bonus. It's really more of a variation, but I wanted to show how these different colors can look mixed together. We're moving on to the non-standard colors. Now these colors are really rare, partly due to genetics and partly due to the fact that many cat registries don't accept these colors as part of the ragdoll standard, meaning they won't register them as purebred ragdolls. We have cinnamon here, which is a warm reddish brown color. Cinnamon was introduced to the ragdoll breed by crossing Abyssinian cats with ragdolls in a breeding program meant to isolate the color. In order to be cinnamon, both parents must pass down the cinnamon trait to their kitten. Fawn is the dilute version of cinnamon. The fawn color is a light, warm beige or cream shade with a soft pinkish tone. This color is the result of the dilution of the cinnamon gene, which creates a lighter and softer appearance. This is definitely one of the rarest ragdoll colors. I've only ever seen a handful of the traditional pointed variety with blue eyes. They tend to be seen more often in a different class called cherubim ragdolls, which encompasses mink, sepia, and solid varieties of ragdolls. If you're interested in learning more about cherubims, let me know in the comments, and if there's enough interest, I can make a video on them. Last, we have the blue-eyed white. This is a completely white ragdoll cat. Blue-eyed whites are incredibly rare because, like cinnamons and fawns, they're not eligible to be registered by most cat registries, and more importantly, there's a high probability that blue-eyed white cats will be deaf. It can be incredibly risky and unethical to purposefully breed blue-eyed white cats without a clear understanding of their genetics to eliminate the possibility of deafness. You'll notice that one of these white cats in the video doesn't actually have blue eyes, and that's because he's a cherubim ragdoll. I wanted to include him though because he has the same coat that a blue-eyed white pointed ragdoll would have. In wrapping up, I just want to extend a huge thank you to everyone that participated in this video, particularly to the Ultimate Ragdoll Cat Group and my first ragdoll group on Facebook, who really stepped up when it came to volunteering to be in this video and have been so generous in providing footage of their cats. Some of these cats have social media accounts, so be sure to follow them.